You may have seen this photo before, and it's only one of the hundreds that show how air quality levels have drastically improved in some polluted cities around the world. Even though air quality levels have seemed to have stabilized, the true problems are still out there.
And there is a real risk, as we were just talking about, that as the economy recovers, we could see a spike that in fact, even with this dip in emissions short term, that over the longer term, the net impact on emissions would be greater emissions, not lesser.
Dr. Heather Goldstone is a Chief Communications Officer at the Woodwell Climate Research Center. She says the carbon levels in the atmosphere will not improve in the long run.
We are seeing a reduction in emissions. That's not taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It's simply slowing the addition of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere.
While the levels have slightly stagnated for a brief period, this opens an opportunity for scrutinizing the other problems that matter climate change, especially during the pandemic. Does this virus influence such effects? And how does this pandemic play a role in climate change? Climate change is usually measured using three indicators: temperature, air and water quality, and weather patterns. First, we're going to talk about how our lifestyles have changed since the crisis started. We isolated ourselves from everyone, limited our presence in public areas, and relied on mobile, contactless food delivery services. While these may seem very rudimentary changes in lifestyle, we often forget how impactful these changes are, not only to us, but to the environment as well.
Morbidity and mortality rates across cities with different levels of pollution. And apparently, what they find is that the air quality, which is very closely associated with emissions, even though climate change goes way beyond just air quality, but it's closely connected, there's a higher morbidity and mortality in places with lower air quality because it is a...
Throughout the course of the pandemic, carbon emissions have somewhat decreased, air quality has improved, and these are results of immobilization. Since no one uses cars that much anymore, gasoline isn't consumed always. Those three indicators earlier have changed over the course of the lockdowns, but it doesn't spell good news. While reduced carbon emissions may be good for a short bit, our changes in lifestyle have contributed largely to the growing problem of pollution. In areas, unnecessary plastics still get along the way. There aren't any moves to transition into a more sustainable means of packing food deliveries. Masks have also become a problem and is currently posing a threat to marine life. The researcher said that it will only undermine the efforts made to reduce plastic incidents in the past years.
It's very easy to understand what the current impact is. I think it's also important for us to understand that we currently are at 1 degree warming. So climate change has already progressed, right? So we can measure that.
Addressing such solutions require a certain amount of political will. And without realizing these effects, the efforts to cope could become as hard as it could get.
Now, in addition to greenhouse gas emissions, we're also seeing reductions in air pollution, and that might have long-term benefits to human health, even if it's only a short-term decrease in the amount of air pollution in the air. But again, in terms of long-term impacts on the environment, it's unlikely that the blip in the emissions trajectory caused by a slowdown of a few months or even a year would make a major dent in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the kinds of reductions that we need to see.